Episode 243, Redefining Superwoman with Jody Long.
Welcome to Latter-day Life Coaches, the podcast where each episode is a conversation between me, Heather Rackham, and one of my amazing coach colleagues. Each coach here is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and a highly trained, experienced life coach making a great impact in the lives of their clients. And together, we have one main goal, helping you live your best life no matter what. You ready for this conversation with a coach? Here we go.
In this insightful episode, Heather is joined by Coach Jody Long to dismantle the supermom and superhuman ideal that so many women unknowingly carry. Jody shares her personal and professional insights on the emotional toll of perfectionism, the burden of unrealistic expectations, and why the badge of superhero may actually be causing more harm than good. Through humor, depth, and practical wisdom, Jody invites listeners to embrace a more grounded reality, one where the 50-50 of life is not just acceptable, but ideal. Together they discuss nervous system regulation, the beauty of presence, and how joy and discomfort often coexist. This is a must-listen for any woman who has ever felt like she's carrying the world and is ready to finally set it down. Please enjoy.
Hey everybody, welcome to Latter-day Life Coaches. We're glad to have you with us today. I am joined by Coach Jody Long. Hi Jody, how you doing?
Hi, great. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad you're here. Jody's been with me before, and we've had some great episodes together. So always, like I mentioned, but go back and catch those episodes. If you want a bigger dose of Jody, you'll be happy you listened. But Jody, before we get started, and for those who don't know you, can you just tell us a little bit about you?
Yes, obviously a life coach, live in Columbus, Ohio. And I've been coaching, I don't know, a few years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I have multiple certifications. I studied communications at Utah State. And I have three kids, 21, 19, and 14. And I'm married to a psychiatrist who works at the VA here in Columbus with veterans. And obviously mental health is really important to us. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how I got into things. I am a life coach for women. I adore coaching men too, but that is what I felt called to do. So I coach mostly women and teen girls as well. And just organically, it's kind of grown into half my business. Pretty much half my clients have ADHD, are women with ADHD, which I have also. And it is just the most fun women. I love them so much. And it's been super rewarding. It's the best job in the world.
I love it. Okay, so I have to ask, do your kids ever like, Mom and Dad, stop? I mean, like, do
Oh
you
yeah.
keep your, do they feel like they're ever inundated with, the coaching
Oh yeah.
therapy?
Oh yeah. Like they're like, Mom, you can turn literally anything into like a coach moment. It must be so annoying. Like if chicken nugget or anything, you're gonna have some kind of like lesson about it. So I try to tone it down. But yeah. Or they'll like if they have a friend come over, they're like, Mom, remember you're not their mom. And I'm like, okay, I'm well aware. But yeah, for sure. I mean, they go to my husband Mark for more of the like, he knows since he went to med school, like my daughter's
Yes.
studying the sciences. She's going to go into medical field. So they'll go to him for these like questions, and then they'll come to me for more like emotional
Mm-hmm.
um,
I love
relationship.
it. They
Yeah.
have great resources. They probably don't even recognize what great
Oh no, they
resources they
don't,
have.
but they do. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, they do. They do. Well, I think this lends itself a little bit to what we're going to talk about today. We wish that our kids maybe could see us as being, well, maybe we don't, but we're going to talk about moms and that perceived image that we're superheroes.
Right.
And I want to like let's just start dishing it out. Like what that in and of itself, that mom as a superhero just does for us.
Yes. Okay. So have you ever, I think that most families can relate to this. You'll either go to like a superhero movie or your kids will be thinking about it, but my boys especially will go, if you had a superpower, what would it be? Or
Mm,
like if you were a superhero, who would you be? My first instinct for if you had a superpower, what would be, is always something that would take a burden away from me. Like,
Oh.
like I would clone myself and they would have make dinner and they would this. And then if I could be a if they say, if you could be a superhero, who would you be? My first initial response is always, I don't want to be a superhero.
Mm.
And so for me, if I could give an overarching theme to this call, I would say, I don't want to be a superhero. Um, my daughter's boyfriend was over at dinner the other day and we were talking about his mom, who's really amazing. And he goes, she's a superhero, which he meant as a compliment. I've said it to
Right.
people. People say it to me. I still take it as a compliment. But I said, I just was so surprised at myself that I instantly went, oh, I hate that. I do not want to be a superhero. And they all laugh. But inside I was really serious. I was like, I do not want that expectation because Heather, how would you define superhero at the most basic level?
Well, I mean, it's somebody who can save the world, but to me, it looks like a tremendous burden. Like you
Mhm.
think about the Superman movies, and I've watched more of the classic superheroes, right? So like
Yeah.
Superman and Batman, and it's like this burden that they carry, that they have this responsibility that they feel like they have to just always be at the height of who they are, right? Like
Yeah.
solving all the problems. And I don't know if I'm answering your question, but
No, you
it
are.
just feels like a burden to me.
Yes. And so I also think just at its basic level, to be a superhero, you have superpowers, right? Which
Hmm.
means superhuman, which
Yeah.
means you have abilities beyond a mortal. And
Yep.
now the problem is, and I know that, people may think I'm taking this too seriously, but if we really break it down, the term superhero isn't the only problem. It's what we're saying when we tell a woman she's a superhero is the expectation is that you do more than what any mortal can do.
Hmm. Yeah. The word expectation is like there's so much expected.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And and we as women perpetuate this as well. Like, I mean, I would feel good about myself if someone said that to me. And it's only been lately that I've been thinking, I don't want to be a superhero. I do not want those expectations, not because I don't care and not because I'm not amazing, but because it will break you trying to do something that is beyond your capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just one example. I think that hopefully I see positive improvement in this area, but women are still given what I call a lot of lip service, meaning you're so amazing, you're superheroes, you're like you can do anything, you're a saint, you're a angel, whatever. And then the reason it's lip service, which means we're going to tell you something but not back it up. When we're told this, great, we're superhuman, but where's the support for us? Where's the support that allows us to do? Most women will tell you they're doing as much as they're doing because no one else will do it.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't think when you break it down, most women want to be superheroes. They will get to a point, and I know this after years and years of coaching women. Okay, this is not just something that I have an issue with. It's not just my soapbox. Women are breaking, and this affects everything, including your religious practice, including your ability to feel the spirit, including your ability to be there. And then when kids get old enough, women come to me and they say, I have no idea who I am. Because without the superhero badge, I'm just this floating, free floating human, and that's all I've ever known. And now what?
Yeah, and they try to carry it into like their adult children's lives, and that
Yes.
never works, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's not good.
encroaching upon them. I'm curious though, how would you define a super mom, like a superhuman? What do you think most women think that is?
Well, I think even if you take, religion out of it, I think that we are meant to be skinny, athletic. Our car's supposed to be clean. Our home's supposed to be clean. We're supposed to look presentable with makeup and hair done. We're supposed to serve other people. We're never meant to complain. We're meant to have this perfectly balanced day, day after day. We get up, we work out, we do this, we do that. We make sure our children are fed and they're fed well and healthy, and that's perfect as well. And then we take upon us the responsibility of our children's behavior and our children's results as our own. And basically, all of the executive management things, making sure everybody's on time, making sure everybody's loved, making sure everybody looks presentable, make sure everybody's happy. I mean, to even take like your own happiness upon yourself is really difficult. So I think it is not only that, not only are you supposed to appear perfect, but you're supposed to emotionally manage it well and not complain.
Like, this doesn't make you tired. You're able to just get up and happily go about your day and do all these things. And busyness is kind of a badge. Like, it's fine, and you're not overwhelmed by it. Yeah. I got tired just having you explain that to me. Just having you tell me.
And the thing is, even us as life coaches, it's so ingrained in us as women that we still try. I mean, we all have aspects of that we're like, of course you do want to look good. Of course you want to love your kids. Of course this. But I can't tell you how many times I've coached on, when people trying to control the results of other people because their image as a saint, as a superhero, as a woman is tied to the results of other people. And I time and time again have to come back and say, number one, you as a human have the innate right to mess up half the time. And that's how it's supposed to be.
And you're going to have a lot of women be like, oh no, that's not a right. Like, that's not, that they'll freak out. I think people can freak out when they hear that.
Well, we never go into, and I mean that as an average, like 50-50. Like there's some days where everything is great and everything's going well. But I don't know one single person who hasn't had issues and been to hell and back and really had hard times in their lives. So we can go through those hard times and go through life thinking things should be different than they are, yet they still unfold as 50-50. Or we can think this is how it's meant to be and see flaws and challenges for what they are, an innate part of being human. I'm not saying I go out there and I try. I'm like, I get 50% to mess up today. Like, I never think like that. Right? But if I think about my life, and when I say mess up, I don't mean mess up. I mean half of your life being difficult.
Right. Or like, it's okay that you didn't make breakfast or you didn't make dinner. Like, like, things don't have to be done precisely the way that you perceive that they need to precisely be done.
Yes. And one of the dangers of, well, there are a lot of things we could branch into, but we have people experiencing religiosity, like religious OCD, that you become so ingrained in this checklist and this superhero mentality, the saint mentality, that without it, it results in a mental illness, right? Like, that's not healthy functioning. And it also, flip side, is that you become very judgmental of other people.
Yeah, absolutely. What I've seen with most of my clients is if they say, well, if I give myself permission not to be the quote unquote superhuman or not to be perfect, then it's like I'm just giving up or just saying like I'm just throwing in the towel and I'm condoning a lifestyle that's not always trying to achieve better. And which is so interesting because my comeback usually is, well, can you show me a time in your life when being upset or angry at yourself for not doing something actually helped you do that in a sustainable way? And every single one of them, they'll come back after thinking about it for a week and be like, yeah, there was nothing that I could think of that was beneficial.
Yes. One of my mentors, Jody Moore, and lots of people in the mental health world, she says, go should free. Like, there is really no situation where I should or I shouldn't is beneficial. And I say, like, it's really, really feels counterintuitive, counterproductive, and not helpful. But it's true that rarely does being hard on yourself is it useful in any way, shape, or form. And this includes big things like drug addiction and in fact, it creates shame and makes things worse. So now guilt can be used as an indicator, right? Like I feel guilty. Then you check in with yourself and you say, is this guilt or am I just taking on someone else's emotions because I'm anxious and trying to control life? But if it's not something you've done wrong and you check in with yourself and you ask, do I like the way I showed up? Did I live with an integrity of myself in that moment, excluding everybody else's appearance, reactions, words, whatever? Do I like how I showed up? Am I good with God? Am I good with myself? Am I good with the universe? Then that guilt is not guilt. And that guilt. And then you step aside and you say, then anything after that, being hard on yourself, is not useful. It keeps you from saying, now what? It keeps you from saying, they own their own emotions. It keeps you from saying, what can I do to help the situation? What boundary can I set to make sure that life is healthier for them and for me? It keeps you from the now what. And what I have found is when people look back on their lives, they realize that life would have played out the exact same way, whether they were angry at themselves or hard on themselves or not. And we can let life play out and then say, now what? Or what's a useful narrative to have in the situation that helps us beyond this in a healthy way? Or you can experience the challenges and then add extra challenge on top by being hard on yourself, by having unrealistic expectations. It's not accepting something bad. It's not being okay with doing things wrong. It's, Byron Katie always says something along the lines of, you can fight reality and you'll only lose 100% of the time. So what I'm saying is it's more accepting reality and seeing for what it is. Because we go through our lives like, okay, next year or when I get to this weight or to this money or this whatever, then I'll be content. And we find that we've lived our lives that whole way, holding our breaths, being hard on ourselves, because if we do that, then, we'll go through some kind of refiner's fire and we'll be better. But like you said, it's not sustainable. The superhuman, superhero, saint, angel thing, just tell me I'm amazing. Don't tell me that. I don't want that. I don't want to wear a cape. I don't want superhero expectations because I am still a child to God too, and I have the privilege of learning and growing. And I'm not saying I like when I do things wrong, and I'm not saying I love my life challenges. I'm just saying I'm in the business of unnecessary suffering. How can I remove unnecessary suffering from myself? And how can I help other people remove unnecessary suffering? Because life has enough suffering as it is. And suffering is not an indicator of failure. So when I say we talk in church about opposition in all things, and I don't know if we've talked about this before, maybe, because I do repeat myself, but mathematically that means 50-50. So if you want to do the ideal that God is teaching, like you go on vacation and you're so disappointed because your kids fought the whole time, well, was half of it good? That was perfect. That was the perfect vacation. Do you at least have half times that you're like, feeling love towards your kids? I mean, a lot of us feel love towards our kids a lot more than that. But it's not that I'm saying we think that doing things quote unquote wrong is okay, or this certain things that happen are okay. It's just that they happen anyway. And we can choose to be curious about it and to think about it in a useful way, in a calm way that doesn't add suffering to what's already suffering. Or we can adopt this mentality that something's gone wrong. I should be superhuman every day. Things should go right 90% of the time. It is not only is it not realistic, it's not meant to be. That is not the space of learning. That's not the space of growth. That's not the space of self-love. It's not the space of love for others. It's judgment for yourself, judgment for others. And one of my specialties is overwhelm with women. Rarely actually do I know a woman that's not overwhelmed, but which is a whole other story. But it leads to chronic illness. It leads to women leaving the church, people leaving the church because they're overburdened. They don't know how to say no, because that would damage that image that not only is society put on us, but now we perpetuate with each other as
Mhm.
women, unintentionally, of course.
Yeah.
But like,
The,
yeah, go ahead.
no, I'm just the word that keeps coming to my mind as I'm listening to you is presence. Like I know
Mhm.
that's a word that gets thrown a lot around out
Mhm.
there, but if we could really focus more on just being present in the moment, because most of that overwhelm or of that anxiousness from not feeling superhuman comes from us thinking about something in the future. What's this person going to think about me? Or what am I going to think about me if I don't do this in this present moment? And if we could just check in the present moment and be like, okay, what do I need in this moment? What do the people
Yes.
around me need in this moment? Rather than worrying so much about something in the future. Like the ability to stay present and focused on us in the moment and the people around us such is such a useful thing for us to do. It's very
Yes.
hard to do, but
Very.
presence is such an important thing.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because presence is talked about a lot for a reason, right? Like
Yeah,
it is difficult to be present.
very.
And if we're talking about it in the vein that we are already talking about, women are so used to being in overdrive and not being present because of the expectations of from themselves and from others that it's also a nervous system issue.
Mhm.
So when we do try to practice that presence, our nervous system, it's we feel anxious.
Yes.
We should be doing something else. This is a waste of time. I'm not being productive. And so sitting in presence often when you're learning to do that feels like anxiety and feels like uncomfortable emotions. And there are simple things you can do, like a three-step process of, we hear this a lot, but it's super effective. If you're ever feeling this way and you're like, I just want to be present. I want to be able to say that at least once a day I was present. Then what you do is you stop and you look around and you say, am I safe? Because even though we know we're safe, our nervous system doesn't. When we're trying to create new neural pathways or a new practice of being present, it doesn't feel safe to our nervous system. It's not what
Mhm.
it's used to. No matter where you are, you can do this and stop and look around and say, am I like physically safe? Is there a tiger coming after me? Is there, am I in danger, true danger? If you are, obviously do what you can to get out of that. Most of the
Right.
time we are not. And you can
Yes.
look
And
around.
that's present though, right? Like that would be the present
That
moment
would be
danger,
present
right? So,
moment.
yes.
Yes. Present, very present moment in that moment.
Hmm.
Because even if you're like getting out of an abusive relationship or something, it's very hard to feel safe. So it is important to bring it to that
Right.
moment, right? And that in essence is being present, right? So it's practicing being present and saying, it's like I hear the birds chirping. I feel that my toe is rubbing up at the top of my shoe. I can smell the neighbor's barbecue. And bring yourself to the present, literally showing your brain the evidence that you're in the present
Hmm.
and that you're safe. Then, you know, the next step would be, you can say, what does this feel like in my body right now? Is it heaviness in my chest? Is it something in the pit of my stomach? Do I feel dizzy? Going into your body and just naming it. And then I encourage to take breaths, to breathe in deeply and then do a quick sniff and then exhale slowly. But then it is to go limp, which sounds crazy, but to completely go limp. And if you're in a meeting, right, you would do it with your shoulders and your arms because it's a fact that you can't be stressed and completely relaxed at the same time.
Hmm.
So if you can go ragdoll completely, like you're standing up and just go completely limp, this is a process of training your nervous system. First of all, to be okay with you having downtime, to be okay with, and to help you be present, and to remind your brain that you're safe. Because when we live on autopilot, that animal part of our brain that protected our ancestors in the past, that we don't need so much anymore, you're retraining. That's the
Hmm.
great thing about our brains.
Hmm.
So that is, this has been kind of an organic conversation, but it has organically led to one thing that can help you remember that go from that superhero mode back to reality and presence, which is where you will find joy,
Hmm.
which is where you will find connection.
Yeah. I love the word joy, and that's ultimately what we're after, like joy and connection, but it often gets sidetracked by pleasure. And
Yeah.
I've been reading a book, oh gosh, it's Young Pueblo's newest book, and I can't
Oh,
think of the name
awesome.
of it. But he talks about that a lot. Like we think that we are seeking pleasure, and I think pleasure is oftentimes what we get when we're trying to be superhuman, when we're trying to be a supermom.
Mm,
We get like a hit of dopamine from like, oh, look at all
mhm.
the things I just did and all the people that I made happy, right? Like there's a
Or this
brief
checklist I did for God.
yes,
I'm
it's
good with God because I did these things.
yes, it's like it's pleasure for a brief moment, whether we recognize it or not. There's something we're getting from it. But what we're really after is joy and peace. And that comes from a very different place. And
It
so
does.
we have to figure out what that is. And I think presence and joy can almost be synonymous at a lot of times if we can be,
Yes.
if we're careful and pay
And
attention.
and I think if we're not intentional, we think that, joy or pleasure should be a permanent like state. I hate the term like I had a good day.
Right,
I do it all the time, right?
right.
Like I had a good day, meaning it was mo it went well, right?
Yes, yes.
But when I started collecting joy in moments, my life became so much more joyful.
Yeah.
There was a movie a long time ago, like really a long time ago. Maybe one of the listeners will know what it's called. I don't. But in it, is it Kristen Dunst? I don't know. Anyway, in this movie, anytime she sees something that is interesting or she loves, she brings up an imaginary camera to her eye and she goes, "Kick." And I started doing that like mentally. Sometimes I do it like very intentionally and physically with my fingers, but anytime I see something or hear something, like sometimes if I'm not feeling well due to illness, like a chronic illness I have, I'll lay on the couch, but in the background, I can hear my kids laughing together. And it's like my favorite sound. And I'll just do click, I'll be like joyful moment. And the more you collect them, you're also training your brain. You're also becoming more present. Your
Hmm.
life becomes more joyful because joy is there. You just have to gather it. And when you see life as my day is going to be full of joyful moments, difficult moments, moments of curiosity, moments of fear, moments of shock and awe, and a lot of boredom, right?
Hmm.
Um, or like mundane activities. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Once again, 50-50.
Right.
More difficult emotions to handle, like boredom. And I mean, not just really hard stuff like boredom, or even some things you challenge yourself with, like running or whatever. And then 50% the good stuff. On average, if your life can be that, because that 50% is so important in creating joy and in helping us grow. So it's not
Absolutely.
failure. It's in any society in the world and religion, you'll see that yin and yang, that half and half, and we're
Yeah.
missing the message, right? No
Well,
super.
that and I think we get confused because we think joy means comfort.
Oh, I
We
like that.
think that like pleasure falls underneath the umbrella of joy, right? Like comfort and
Hmm.
pleasure we think is under joy. And I actually think that we can be very uncomfortable and still be experiencing joy because joy
Yes.
is like an overarching, like I'm living my life in a way that is pleasing to me, that feels unique and genuine and authentic to me. And I don't like to use the word authentic because I do feel like it gets thrown around so much and overused. But in
No,
reality,
it's true.
it is like I think joy is overarching, and it doesn't mean that we are not experiencing things that are uncomfortable. I think we can still experience joy and be uncomfortable at the same time.
Right. In fact, um, every once in a while, I like going to different social media accounts or read books about people that work with in hospice or
Hmm.
end of life things. And they say there's an enormous amount of joy laced with pain. We, hey, once again, 50-50, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's interesting that in the most painful time of our lives, there's the contrast of joy. Once again,
Yeah.
that natural message that we're not meant to be superhuman. And not only that, when I mean like we have the privilege as adults, there's that thing that's gone around, not the saying that's gone around on social media, like of a mom and a daughter, adult mom and adult daughter kind of dancing or doing something together and saying, this is my mom's first time on earth too. And when we you know, have a broader perspective and we zoom out and we see that we're super young too. And adult development and evolution is a thing happening that we don't recognize. We're
Yeah.
supposed to evolve. Evolution doesn't happen without that 50-50,
Yeah.
without that, hey, like I guess what I'm presenting today to listeners is this. I'm not saying 50-50 is okay. I'm saying it literally, it's ideal. It is the ideal space to live in, a space of learning and growth, space of joy and pain. And and if you can sit and be present with it and be like, I see the value of this, then your grip on needing to be perfect and needing to be a superhero or will loosen and you'll say, no, no, I see the importance of this. I have the privilege of learning too, and learning cannot be done. Growth cannot be done without that 50-50. And so I'm not just saying like, let it go. I'm saying this really truly is ideal.
Mhm.
If you live as a superhuman, you might have superhuman moments where you're like, man, I conquered the world, but they're going to be few and far between, and the rest of the time is going to be very stressful.
Yeah. It's not like you're letting go and like throwing in the towel or giving up, right? What you're actually doing is growing, because real growth happens when we are uncomfortable, when we do have to experience the feelings that we get when things don't go exactly how we think they should, or there's that would should, or like that's why we're here, is to grow and learn how
Hello.
to, yeah, like that's the whole point. And so yeah, I just think it's so important for us to remember that.
Yeah, it really is. And what's interesting is I see this, the clients that have been with me for years, I've seen this process of not being able to let go, needing to do everything, and then, but simultaneously collecting resentment because nobody else is helping them, but they won't let it go, which is a position society has put us in, and then teaching them, you know, to question that, say, is this the best life for me? And because they want to let it go, but they can't. They see that they're doing too much. And, sometimes you have to because you don't have the help that you need. I get that. I really do. Not everybody has the privilege of being able to be like, no, I'm going to set boundaries and ask for help or pay for help. But it still is a relief when you come to the understanding that, oh, I'm allowed to be imperfect. Because what the people that will say, oh, I can't let this go because that's accepting a subpar life. That's accepting, you know, bad things. I would still ask them how, if you look back on your life, it would have played out the exact same way, but you could have done without all the bullying of yourself, all the high expectations. Your future is going to play out 50-50 on average, no matter what. So you can have a useful narrative, which is like, I'm really looking forward to the challenges and to the growth that I'm going to experience. And I'm going to double down on loving myself and self-care so that I can manage those times really well. I expect them and it's okay. 50-50 is ideal. Then you can face challenge without additional struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Because gosh, we all know we don't need extra, but we're all living with it.
Oh, heavens, yes. And we think it's other people putting that expectation on us, but it's us put and yes, we do feel influence from outside sources. However, like the buck stops with us. If we can learn to manage that and understand what is good for us and what our soul needs, like it is our job to make that happen. It's nobody
Right.
else's job to quit asking or
No.
expecting something of us. Like that is our job to do.
Yeah, and it's a hard pill to swallow, especially which is why we have life coaches, therapists, doctors,
Yeah.
because people don't know how. I
Yeah.
think people come to us when they want these changes, like they've learned enough that they see, okay, I do want that. I do want to have less stress. I do want to have boundaries. I do want this, but you don't know how.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're in the business of is helping you have the life that you want, having the privilege of growing. And I think it all starts with curiosity. So I'd encourage our listeners to just be curious, like, in what ways are you resisting the message of today? It may not be right for you.
Yeah.
I always say, like, take it or leave it. Like there's been stuff that has I've said or encouraged with clients that has really helped them. And then another client was like, no, that it didn't work for their brain.
Yeah.
So maybe the way that I'm saying it may not appeal to you, and that's okay. Like that's fine. Leave it. But if it does, I would encourage people to be curious. Be like, what is the life that I want? How is maybe, 50% challenge and 50% less challenge the ideal life? Is it? What do I want for myself? What just to be curious. I think curiosity is like the most useful emotion
Yeah,
ever.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, gosh, Jody, thank you. This has been
Thank you.
a really, what, like Jody said, this was just
We went all over the
yeah,
place, didn't we?
we did. And we didn't go in with any really anticipation of what we wanted to talk about, but I
No.
love to watch things evolve and to see where we go because there's some great, I mean, there's just always important things that come.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. Before we take off, will you tell people how they can connect with you?
Yeah, sure. You can go to my website, jodylong.com. It's Jody with a Y. It is not completely updated regarding ADHD coaching, but I do ADHD coaching. If you go to the bottom of the page, you can subscribe to my weekly newsletter, which is where you'll get updated when a digital course comes out, a new freebie comes out. When you subscribe, you will have immediate access to all of my freebies, which includes the super fun ADHD quiz. Like it's really popular.
Okay.
So do that quiz. It's awesome. And there's a bunch of other freebies as well. And then if you're on the list, you'll get weekly coaching through an email in essence, thoughts and ideas that might help you. But in addition to that, you'll be the first ones to know if I have a podcast coming out, if I have a membership starting, all of that. And of course, you can book a free consult call with me. I always tell people it's just to get a taste of coaching. And I can honestly say, like, I'm okay with you not signing with me. I have never left a consultation and someone not signed with me and been like, oh man. Like I have this firm belief, if I'm right for you, I'm right for you. And maybe even I'm not right for you now, but I have so many people that come back a year later, be like, okay, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the very least, I've had a conversation with another human and we've left each other better, hopefully. So
Yeah.
don't hesitate to do that. We'll have lots of fun. And then on Instagram and Facebook, it's Jody Long Coaching. I'm on Instagram more than I am on Facebook. I need to be better about that. And I think that's basically it.
Awesome. Thank you. We will link to those things in the show notes. And I just appreciate it. It's always a treat for me to get to visit with you. So thanks, Jody. Hey, we just wanted to thank you for spending part of your day here with us at Latter-day Life Coaches and being part of this conversation. Share this with your friends so that you can have a conversation with them on this topic as well. And as always, subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Have a good one, my friends.